Hare Krishna, and welcome back to the Bliss Podcasts, episode unknown. Because of the coronavirus, I've lost track of all the numbers of the episodes, so it's out there, it's in the early 20s. Anyway, I'm Maitreya Rishidasa, your host, here with His Grace Purja Prabhu, the founder of the Bhaktivedanta Lives, otherwise known as Bliss Society. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, it's a great pleasure to be with you tonight and this morning also, and lunch also, and Hare Krishna.
24 hours daily, it is always a pleasure to be with you, audience. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Bliss Podcast. If you didn't listen to the previous episodes, Deconstructing Koi Fresco, episodes, plural. I covered myself there from making a mistake just in case I messed up. See? Simple Living and High Thinking was the very previous episode. You can find all of these in the channel itself. You just go and you click on that nice Expand the Bliss title, go on our channel, look at all those nice episodes, and smash the like button on all of them. Subscribe to the channel also, put the notification bell on, give it to your friends, at least 10 of them, put it on the news, everything. Make this channel go big, viral. 5 million subs by the end of the month. Let's do it. Bliss family. Let's get a sound effect also for this. So, Hare Krishna Prabhu, what are we discussing on this week's episodes? Or maybe we should talk about Bliss News. What do you think? Should we go straight into the thing, or should we talk about news or social media? You give me direction, Prabhu. I'm confused.
Well, I don't know.
Speak from the heart.
Well, we want to address a question that was sent to us by our good friend Peter Krishna, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Peter. And yeah, you can read, or
yeah, I can read it.
I don't have it.
You don't have the question. Oh, here is the question by Peter Krishna. Okay. Peter Krishna Prabhu says, please, would you be able to share some thoughts in your podcast how people, Krishna conscious or even others, should be approaching challenges when they're lied to on a big scale by media, government, etc. What should be the right approach? Thanks a lot. Good luck with all your work. Winky face. Thank you for that winky face. So, okay, very good question. How should anyone, very interesting, how should anyone deal with big government and, as in the words of Donald Trump, fake news, the influence of propaganda and controlled media and all these things? How you deal with because obviously we all accept these things like news and social media and the internet as sources of authority for ascertaining what is actually going on in the world. And because a lot of these we don't know if they're truthful all the time, then we could be being lied to and misled. So how to deal with this problem? How do we know we're not getting lied to? And if we are getting lied to, what should we do? How do we get real knowledge or information like that?
So, in the Vedic tradition, there are two types of...
Mother of mercy.
Catching on the external mic.
It's alright. We switched the mic, it was recording. Just on my computer.
Okay. So there are two types of, or two methods how we acquire information. There is the Avaroha Panta and Aroha Panta. Aroha Panta is research, just like if you want to ascertain who is your father, you can go and ask every single man, are you my father? Are you my father? Are you my father? You go on the street and you ask, are you my father? Are you my father? that is the Arohapanta, ascending process. You basically trust your sense perception and your mental power to ascertain what is truth and what is not truth. So we reject this system because we understand any sincere person, any humble, sincere person understands that he is limited. Just like many people, they take drugs, some hallucinogenic drugs, and then they realize, oh my God, my mind is so limited and there must be something higher. Of course, we don't advocate for drug taking, but people have this experience. Or not just drugs, any sort of out of ordinary experience. Someone dies in your family, you lose money, you encounter some mass epidemics,
right. Some shock
just
to your
like
ordinary system. Some shock to your ordinary system of life, how you normally live your life, it gets changed quickly.
Yes, and then you realize whatever I have planned, whatever I have thought was a lie, was not perfect, or was not all that is. So this is very important. Before we start speaking of Krishna consciousness and spiritual practice, austerity, tapasya, and all these things, and this is a very important, crucial point, that we must admit to ourselves that we are imperfect. A man or woman they have 4 defects of material existence. They commit mistakes. Everyone commits mistakes, just like Mahatma Gandhi also, he committed mistake. Just before his death, he got a warning. Don't go to New Delhi, Mahatma Gandhi. There's some trouble there. There's some conspiracy. But he did not hear. He made a mistake. He got killed. So even a great personality like Mahatma Gandhi, he makes mistakes. Bill Clinton also made a mistake, right?
John F. Kennedy.
He also?
Well, I don't know about Bill Clinton. I'm not certain.
He had a sex affair scandal.
Right. Okay, so I was more thinking in terms of John F. Kennedy, because John F. Kennedy also got shot in his car, was sniped by I can't remember the guy's name, but
Oswald,
John F. Oswald. Thank you. So yeah, he also made a mistake. Went out despite, I'm sure, many debriefings by the CIA. And
anyway, we make many mistakes. That's the point. Everyone makes mistakes. You also make a mistake. You're writing something on Facebook, you make a spelling mistakes, and so on, so on. So that's one defect. Another defect is we have imperfect senses. You hear something, you think, oh, it's that, but it's something else. Or you see something, and it appears as, let's say, you look in the sun, and you see, oh, it's a disc, right? Your eyes are telling you, this is a disc. But the scientists, they understand that the sun is a globe. But by your eyes, you have no chance to understand it's a globe. You look in the sky, you just see a disc, 2D, right? So, imperfect senses. Then we fall into illusion. We are tricked, just like Peter, he said here, that people are being lied to. So they're an illusion. And the final, most ridiculous, is that with all these defects, we claim to be perfect. So that is the tendency to cheat. The 4th defect, propensity to cheat. Did you take the prasadam? Did you take these cookies? No. Did you study the Bhagavad Gita? Did you read the book I gave you? Yes. So cheating propensity. So if we have all these defects, and if we try to ascertain the information on our own, oh, let me research, then we come to the imperfect conclusion. We must, come to imperfect conclusion, because we're not perfect. Even we might do research amongst many perfect authorities, but because we make mental speculation, we don't want to accept the spiritual teaching as it is, we try to borrow from different paths and make our own conclusion, again, we miss the point. Just like if you go to a pharmacy, you want to cure your corona. So you take medicine according to your whim. Oh, let me take, this looks nice, this is nice color, this syrup, and let me take this pill and that pill, and you make a nice cocktail, and then you eat it and you die. If you want to cure your disease, you must consult the physician. You must approach the authority. So that is the perfect process. It's called avarohapanta or Padam Para, a knowledge received through disciplic succession. The originator of this disciplic succession of spiritual masters is the Lord himself, Krishna. Krishna has spoken the Vedic knowledge to Brahma. Brahma is the first living entity in the world. And there was no one there. So Lord Brahma approached Krishna directly. He made Krishna his spiritual master. And Krishna gave him the knowledge, the Vedas. Then later on, Lord Brahma explained the Vedic conclusion to Narada Muni, another great acharya, besides Lord Brahma. Narada explained to Srila Vyasadeva, who is the author of all the Vedic scriptures. He wrote down the Vedas for the people of Kali Yuga because they have shortage of memory, and so on, so on. Srila Vyasadeva then explained to who was a disciple of Srila Vyasadeva? Shukada Goswami and the others, many disciples. So in this way, the knowledge is passed down in unchanged way through these self-realized spiritual masters. They compare to the transparent via media. Just like if you're reading a newspaper and you have poor eyes, just like myself, then you need glasses, right? And when you put on the glasses, it's not that the content of the newspaper is changed or improved or adulterated. It is the same message, but you can see it clearly. That's why these acharyas, they explain the message so it's clear to us what it means, but they do not adulterate the message. That, oh, now times are different, now we need a little bit more fashionable. This Krishna is, a little boring. We put a little bit techno, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Saxophone, a little saxophone there. No, they present, that is the definition of a spiritual master. He presents the message of Krishna as it is. So this is the perfect method of approaching this idea of getting proper information. So this is a major point, and unfortunately most of the people, they're not able to pass through this this particular test. That they want to research. There's so much attached. Of course, we're attached to material sense gratification, the sensual pleasures. That is one type of attachment. But then there's a subtle attachment, the attachment to speculate. That is a little bit more difficult to control or to transcend. Somehow or other, we just can't give up. We think that, oh, if I surrender to one authority, one spiritual master, then my options are less. So it is kind of like the remnant of this materialism. In a materialism, you think the more I have, the more happy I will become. So we carry that into spiritual cultivation or spiritual education. We think that, oh, the more authorities I consult, the wiser I'm going to be. Right? In modern universities, modern educational system, this is very much prominent. The students are, storing lots of data in their brains, and they getting so much information. The more you give, the more intelligent you are. But no one is actually ascertaining what is the actual truth. That is not. I was in the university. I remember that was never the consideration, whether what we're writing is actually the truth. They say, oh, truth, whatever, we don't know what is the truth. But make some research, back it up, get as much research as possible, so you look very intelligent, you construct this fake identity that you're very intelligent, and then you get a good grade. And you might be speaking complete rubbish. Like, for example, the theory of evolution. It is complete rubbish. People don't understand. They think, oh, this is very scientific. But it's not scientific. The man is not coming from monkey now. There's no evidence for this. It's just pure speculation. But it's presented, as though it was very scientific and backed up and so on. People believe that because they don't. Another point is that we must be serious. We must be sincere and inquire about the important subject matters. Why these people are able to confuse us is because we're interested in nonsense information. Most of the people, they inquire about topics that will improve their eating, sleeping, sex, and fighting. How they can fight better, how they can have sex better, how they can eat better, and how can they sleep better. So even the animals, they also inquire like that. The dog is also inquiring. Woof, woof, where is my bone? Woof, woof, I want to eat. Right? He also has some inquisitiveness. Don't think that, oh, I'm questioning reality, so I'm very intelligent. No, a dog is also questioning reality. You promised me bone, now I have no bone. Woof, 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 I will bark at you now. See, the dog also has this inquisitiveness. So we must inquire about the absolute truth, the complete, about God, about Krishna. Atatu Brahma Jigyasa, that is the real point of inquiry. So if we understand God, if we understand Krishna, then all the other topics, everything else, becomes also known. This is our process, Krishna conscious process. So, what do you think, Prabhu?
Yeah, those very interesting points. I was thinking while I was hearing you that it's very similar to this Proof of the Vedas book, which everyone can find if they go to the Patreon page, which we'll link in the description of this video, and you become a Patreon. Haribo, you become a Patreon. You give 5 or however much you feel per month, and then you're entitled to a selection, 1 or more, depending on how loyal you are to the cause of bliss. You get 1 or more ebooks. One of the ebooks you can be entitled to is the Proof of the Vedas, which is a very nice philosophical exposition written by Purajit Prabhu. And there's one section there that talks about where we get our information and who we accept as authorities. So I just thought to read that part right now. Purajit Prabhu says, in illusion, our dependence on external sources of knowledge is actually very strong. Although we do have a choice of different sources of information, the internet, our mother, school, Wikipedia, etc., we can't choose what sources of information are available to us. This can be compared to political elections. People can give a vote to a candidate they like, but they cannot choose the candidate themselves. The choice of candidates is simply given to them. Similarly, we are exposed to different sources of knowledge to develop our worldview and choose one or the other, but which sources of knowledge we are exposed to is completely beyond our control. We do not decide where to take our birth, for example, but that decides many things. The language we speak, our nationality, our culture, and last but not least, our biases and misunderstandings. Based on these designations, we choose to view different sources as reliable or non-reliable, and then, based on such knowledge, we develop further biases. Thus, a never-ending chain of dependence is formed. In order to independently determine whether a particular authority is perfect or not, we would have to also be in charge of determining what authorities we ourselves are influenced by since the beginning of our life. In other words, we would have to be completely unconditioned, which is not the case. So it is useless labor to independently ascertain the validity of a certain authority. Because our conditioning is so strong, we simply accept things as they are thrown at us, and we can't do anything about it. So this is a very interesting, you could say, purport. That's from the very beginning of your life. You start as a little child, soft brain. The brain is soft all the way till 24 years, so they say, these material scientists. So soft brain, you get thrown into the world, and then you get pushed into a school. You get your parents also telling you so much things. This is like this is like that. Pushing on you, absolutely. And then you think that that is the truth. You have no other source of knowledge. So you're immediately brainwashed from the very beginning, and then you can't actually ascertain what is real or not, because you have so many impressions from other sources that you had no choice of choosing between, that you can't even trace out how long you've been being brainwashed for, and therefore you don't know what is really real.
Yeah, sometimes people, they say that, oh, this Krishna consciousness, I respect it, but it's not really my thing. So at that point, it's laughable, because this idea that, oh, this is my desire, this is my thing, it doesn't mean anything. This is just a bias we have developed. We're so much influenced by the external sources. It doesn't really mean anything. What is your opinion? What is your viewpoint? And these are all conditioned. We're speaking of the absolute truth. So also another point is that we're picking the authorities according to our liking. It's kind of like you have these Tom and Jerry cartoons, and then the Tom, he puts the cheese on the trap to catch Jerry, the mouse. So it's kind of like that we're being alert to certain ideas according to what we want as sense gratification. So if you want to, I don't know, if you want to intoxicate yourself, you're going to listen to Baba Ramdas and Timothy Leary and Koi Fresco and all these people, right? They become your authority. And, because it doesn't work like that. Most of the time, we accept the authorities blindly. That's why we have faith. That's why we have trust. These things make things easier, right? If you were to question every single person on every single fact, you would waste time, so much time. So it's easier just to accept someone and then just go with that. But with that, there's also a danger that we accept some nonsense authority. So instead of ascertaining who is the authority and who is not the authority, we should first of all start with ourselves and look at what we're interested in. So long we're interested in material sense gratification for the body, as I said before, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, little relaxation, little comfort here and there, then we must be cheated. Even if we study the Vedas, Krishna says, if you are interested in sense gratification, you will be deluded by the passages that recommend fruitive activities. These portions of the Vedas are for the less intelligent people to somehow or other inspire them to worship demigods or do some sort of practice in order to elevate them from the gross materialistic, animalistic platform. But these portions of the Vedas are not the conclusion of the Vedas. The conclusion of the Vedas is Krishna. Vedaischa sarvam aham vedyam. Vedanta krit vedanta vit eva chaham. Krishna says, I am the source of the Vedas. I am the knower of the Vedas. So we should start with ourselves. What are we really interested in? Are we interested in complete liberation from the material bondage and reconnecting with the supreme absolute source, Krishna? Or are we still attracted to enjoy in this world? Because if we're interested, then so many authorities are there, so many bogus authorities. They will tell us, yes, you can have spiritual life, but also you can smoke a little ganja on the side, or you can do a little this, a little that. And, so long we're attracted to these things, we'll be cheated. So when we approach the bona fide spiritual master, we must be ready to fully surrender all these material pleasures and mental speculation like that, and be serious to accept God the absolute truth and nothing else. Absolute truth doesn't mean that it's some kind of a dogma, but absolute truth means that there's nothing remaining. If we understand the absolute truth, nothing else remains unknown. So are we ready to step onto the path of absolute knowledge? This is what we should ask ourselves.
So why should I research the Supreme Absolute? That sounds kind of otherworldly. Why should I be interested in such a subject matter?
Well, because all the other truths are relative. They're not permanent. Just like this coronavirus, right? It's like they say, oh, this is the truth. But the other people say, no, it's a conspiracy. So how do you know? The truth is relative. Depending on where you're asking, they're going to give you a certain information. But what is the actual truth, right? We're bumping into this problem all the time. We want to know what is the actual truth. Not that we accept someone's opinion as the complete truth, right? So you can take it to the religious department. There's so many religions, and people say, well, which one is the right one? Or do they have anything in common? What is the actual truth? Jesus says, I am the only way. Buddha says, I don't know what he says. Muhammad says this. Prabhupada says, so what is the actual thing? Right? The relativities. So we must be interested to understand the absolute truth. And when you understand the absolute truth, then all the relative truths are included. You understand Jesus, you understand Buddha, you understand the government, you understand the conspiracy theorist, and you understand everything. That is what we're teaching, Krishna Consciousness. Right. The point is, we're not ready to understand the absolute truth because the relative truths are convenient. They're convenient for us. People want to remain in ignorance because they're getting some benefits, some relative benefits, cheating benefits, temporary pleasures. So they're satisfied, just like they accept the government. When the government says, corona. Okay, because, I'm kind of lazy to now find out what is the actual, is it really true, is it not true? Well, I might get sick, I better put on the mask, because if I get sick, I can't go to work, I can't enjoy sense gratification. Right. You see, so it's very important that before we come to the source of knowledge and we try to ascertain who is actually right, who is the perfect authority, that we ourselves become sincere about the real thing, not this temporary truths that are convenient for our sense gratification.
Now, how do I ascertain who that perfect authority is as compared to other authorities? How do I know a fallible authority from a perfect authority?
Well, the most perfect authority is God. Who can be more perfect authority than God? God is the supreme being, the absolute perfect being, perfect knowledge. So that is our proposal. Why don't you accept the authority of God? God knows everything. God is supposed to be omniscient. So He's conscious of every single aspect of the material and spiritual world. So He must know the best. Why waste time? If you are looking for $5, you want to get $5, but I give you $1 million, your $5 problem is automatically solved. So why should you be interested in these imperfect, incomplete knowledge if you can get the perfect knowledge from God? Now, who is God? Whether it's Krishna or someone, that's another question that we resolve later. But first of all, you should be interested in getting the ideas from God, not from the government, not from the internet, not from the conspiracy theorists, not from Timothy Leary or whoever he is, but from God. This is our point.
Now you mentioned another point that was you should know the Supreme Absolute so that you can also know all the relative truths, because it will include it in the Supreme Absolute. But for example, something specific, right, like the coronavirus, why is it happening right now? How do I understand the reason for the coronavirus or what to do about the coronavirus or any of these things if I understand Krishna or God, about his personality, about his form? How does that answer these kind of questions, so specific?
Well, coronavirus or other virus or anything like this pertains to the body. In the material existence, we're suffering from birth, death, old age, and disease. So, the first teaching of God, Krishna, in the Bhagavad Gita, is that we're not this body. Dehinosmin yatadihi komaram yovanam jara tata dehantara prapti dhirastatrana muhyati. We're not this body. So, whether you die of coronavirus, or whether the government is cheating or not, you're gonna die. You're gonna die anyway. You're gonna get disease. If it's not corona, you're gonna get some other disease, and ultimately you have to die. So this is not very important question. It's important from the bodily point of view. What's going to happen with our body, with our society, with this and that. But on the scale of our eternal existence, this is just one little sparklet of insignificant affair. It doesn't really matter. There have been so many governments, so many cheaters, so many dictators, so many people killed, and the world goes on. And your cycle of samsara, birth and death, goes on. If you die, you're going to be born again. This is also what Krishna says. The one who is born must die. The one who dies must be born again. So you're going to take your birth again. The real question should be, who is Krishna? Who is God, and how to serve him in this very short lifespan, and not get distracted by these temporary things. Okay, let's say the government is truthful and doesn't lie and doesn't cheat people with this corona or this and that. Still you have to die. Still you have to take your birth again. Still you have to get some disease. All these things. So we're offering the ultimate solution. Krishna Consciousness is the ultimate solution. No more birth, no more death, no more old age, no more disease. This is Krishna Consciousness.
Right. I mean, I guess if even the government, even if they were perfect authority, not in the sense that they give you perfect knowledge of what is matter and what is spirit, what is the goal of life, but if they were somehow a perfect authority in material matters, then of what use would that be to you anyway? Okay, so now you perfectly know how to eat, sleep, mate, and defend. Of what use is that knowledge? So, in one sense, you don't have to worry about whether the government is cheating you or like this, because it doesn't matter. The information that they give you is insignificant in comparison to the knowledge that you can get from a bona fide spiritual master.
Srila Prabhupada makes this point in his book Beyond Birth and Death. He says that none of these great teachers, Lord Buddha, Lord Jesus, Krishna, Prophet Muhammad, none of them promise paradise on earth. None of them say that, oh, this world is wonderful, you're going to have a very nice time here. No, they all say this world is full of suffering, either this way or that way. Transcend and go back home, back to Godhead. All of them, they say this. So this is a foolish idea that, although I'm here in this material existence, let me improve it, let me make it perfect. I know that the Jehovah's, right, the Jehovah Witnesses, they have this philosophy.
Make heaven on earth.
They have the philosophy that they can make perfect world from this world. So that's nonsense. This world is temporary. That is the first point. Everything goes through the stages. Everything is born, then there's sustains for some time, it creates byproducts, and ultimately dwindles and dies. So the very nature of material existence is creating suffering for the eternal soul. The soul is Sat Chitananda, full of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. So you must feel dissatisfied. Whether the government is lying or not, whether you have the coroner or not, you must feel dissatisfied. The very body we have, this material body, is the cause of suffering. We should transcend the material body, realize the soul. And just one thing about the government, I wish to share one memory. Hansadutta Prabhu, disciple of Srila Prabhupada, one of the early disciples, he recently passed away, Hansadutta. I had the good fortune to interview him. You can check it on our channel. It's called, the series of videos are called Hansadutta Speaks Out, about the early history of Srila Prabhupada's movement. So I found a memory. He also remembers that he met one man who met Prabhupada. He says, some years ago, I met a man in Palo Alto who had an art gallery. He said to me, you are a follower of Swami Prabhupada? I said, yes. How do you know? He said, I see your beads. Because devotees there wearing these chanting beads. So we're recognized by the beads. I see your beads. I met Swami Prabhupada at Palo Alto University in 1967. I said, really? Tell me about it. He said, he was the most unforgettable man I ever met. I said, how is that? Did you discuss something with him? He said, yes. He and I had a discussion after his lecture. I complained about the government, and Prabhupada said, no, you cannot complain. You elected the government officials. Since you elected them, you cannot complain. The man said, I kept saying, but I didn't elect them. And Prabhupada said, no, you elected them. That is your system. You cannot complain. This man said, Prabhupada simply wouldn't allow me to get off this point. You elected, and therefore you are responsible. So Prabhupada, of course, he mentions this on several occasions. He calls democracy a demon crazy. Demon crazy because the majority of people are foolish. If you take the ratio, most of the people are less intelligent. This is by nature. It's arranged like that. So the democratic system is imperfect. And because most of the people are foolish, they elect foolish government. So then we cannot complain that, oh, the government is cheating to us, because you have elected them. You have elected. So this is basically the whatever is happening in this world is arranged by Krishna. It is due to our karma. If there is suffering, it is not by accident. This is a wrong philosophy. By accident, I am sick. This is an atheistic philosophy. By accident, the government is crooked. Let me adjust it. No, everything is going on for a reason. What you can adjust is you can educate people about Krishna consciousness. Don't be a cheater. Educate them about the real thing, Krishna consciousness. So people become enlightened. Doesn't matter what is their intellectual capacity. If they become devotees, they become intelligent. Krishna will give them the intelligence from within. Through purification, Krishna will guide them directly from the heart. Then they will elect proper government. But, okay, this government might be cheating, but if you want to take over and you want to govern, you're also a cheater. So you will also be cheating the people. Cheating must be there. Unless you become Krishna conscious, the cheating must go on. As I said before, if you're not interested in the absolute truth, the complete truth, complete knowledge, if you're still attracted to material, sensual pleasures, mental speculation, and so on, doesn't matter how good you think you are, you will be you will be how should I say, you'll be defending the interests of only a section of people. You will not speak for everyone, because you're lacking this God consciousness, Krishna consciousness, the complete picture. You must be by default defending or governing only for a certain class of people, not for everyone. Just like now, The government is protecting the people from corona, but at the same time slaughtering millions of animals. What about that?
Right.
Nobody cares. Oh, we have this disease, they're cheating us, this and that. What about the animals? The animals are getting slaughtered nevertheless, whether you have corona or not. Millions and billions of animals, cows, chickens, pigs, slaughtered in brutal way on daily basis. Nobody cares, right? Because no God consciousness, no Krishna consciousness. So we're not interested in this partial solutions. We're interested in the ultimate solution, Krishna consciousness.
Prabhupada also in this connection, Prabhupada also makes this point in the Ishopanishads that because there are different levels of devotees in Krishna consciousness, and the highest level devotee, he can see everyone as a spirit soul, as the pure consciousness. He doesn't see the bodily designations. This person's a black person. You made this nice video script, so he said this is a black woman, this is a Chinese man, this is a green alien. So at the highest level devotee of Krishna, he doesn't see any of these distinctions. He just sees the soul, and therefore he can actually have he can understand and apply universal brotherhood, universal love. And while many people nowadays, politicians, philanthropists like that, they all try to go for this concept of universal love. We're all one nation, united under God, like that. This concept is there, obviously, because there is a stage of consciousness, actually our original pure stage of consciousness, where we do have this vision, but we don't have that now. Obviously, we see the material, the bodily designations, the bodily differences. So when people try to imitate this consciousness and say universal brotherhood, it doesn't work, because they're actually seeing, whether they like it or not. Like, it's kind of like in this section of the proof of the Vedas we were just reading, that you have these biases forced on you from birth, so many impressions, so many things that you think are true. So you are forced to see this is a black man, this is an American, this is a Chinese, and you think that that is right, even if you're taught something else, because you were taught that at birth. It's affected by that original bias. So anyway, if someone's in the governmental position and tries to do this universal brotherhood, they can't. They have to favor a certain section of society, like Prabhu was saying. So no governmental person, unless he's fully Krishna conscious, unless he sees the soul and understands Krishna, he can actually be for the good of all the people. So I just wanted to mention one last thing, if you don't mind. In the Bhagavatam, there's this nice pastime and a great personality called Maharaj Yudhisthira. So this is the example the Bhagavatam gives of perfect government. And it's very interesting, because Maharaj Yudhisthira is a pure devotee. Prabhupada says that, and it's logical also, that because he's a pure devotee, he's only interested in Krishna's service. He has no personal consideration. He doesn't think about his bodily sense gratification. So because he has no personal consideration, then he can be fully selfless. Then he can actually serve the people for the real benefit, which is making them Krishna conscious. And by making them Krishna conscious, then naturally, and because he's acting according for the benefit of all people and pleasing Krishna, God, the source of everything, the maintainer of the world, then also society flourishes perfectly. The forests yield all the necessary things for the society. The animals give all, like the cows, they give milk. I think in a previous podcast, Prabhu mentioned this point, that the fields are flooded with milk during Maharaj Yudhisthira's time. So this is the you can have perfect government or whatever, but the modern system itself is actually wrong. Even if they have perfect knowledge or whatever, they speak truthfully, because their aim is wrong. They don't actually interested in the soul, and they don't know God. Then the very system itself is not for your actual interest. So better to elect even one person, actually better to elect an absolute authority, one person who knows God, who's representative, who's pure in knowledge, not self-interested, and then he can actually give you the real thing.
There's a nice conversation here I would like to quote in this regard with Srila Prabhupada. A disciple was asking, last night in your lecture you made the analogy that if people don't follow God's laws, they'll be punished by God, just as they're punished for disobeying the state laws. So the young people thought you must be a fascist, Srila Prabhupada. But this is actually happening all over the world. How can they deny it? Government today means might makes right. Somehow you take power and then you're right. It is a question of which group gets the power. Disciple. But they want to give the power to the people. Srila Prabhupada. How will it be possible? There's so many people and so many different opinions. You have your people and someone else has his people. As soon as you want to give the power to your people, the others will oppose. This is human nature. You cannot change it. They're thinking that the power should be given to the people, but there are many other people who will disagree. This is the nature of the material world. Everyone is envious of everyone else. But these rascals don't have the intelligence to understand this. In India, there was Gandhi, a gentleman, a very nice politician, but he was killed. So you cannot stop this. It is the nature of the material world. Everyone is envious of others. You will never be able to find a group of materialistic men who are perfect. So why do they say, give the power to the people? They're simply rascals. Therefore the Srimad Bhagavatam says, Paramo nirmatsaranam satam. Krishna consciousness is for the perfect non-envious person. Those who are not Krishna conscious must be envious. Everyone, you will find competition. Krishna had enemies. Jesus Christ had enemies. Or else, why was he crucified? He had no fault. He was preaching God consciousness, yet he was crucified. This is the material world. Even though one is perfect, still he'll have enemies. How can you stop it? They say, give the power to the people. But as soon as there is one good group of people governing, another group will stand against it. They will say, give the power to us. So where is your perfection? This is not perfection. Therefore, we have to give up all connection with this material world. That is perfection. Disciple. But how can you avoid anarchy and have good government if you give up all connection with this world? Srila Prabhupada. Yes, this is the point. You have to follow the perfect authority. Disciple. And this was their contention. You advocate following a superior authority. Srila Prabhupada. If you want a perfect society, you must follow the perfect authority. You cannot find perfection through mundane politics. You have to follow the real, recognized authorities, the perfect, liberated souls. This was the system in the Vedic culture. The authority was Lord Krishna, and the Vedic literature and society was directed by Manu, the forefather and lawgiver of mankind. And the Manu Samhita, Mahajanoyana Gatasa Panta, to attain perfection, we must follow the Mahajans, perfect, self-realized authorities. Disciple, but these young people said that spiritual authorities are imperfect. Srila Prabhupada. They may say that, but why should we accept their opinion? The opinion of imperfect rascals. Their only idea of authority is might makes right. For instance, that group yesterday was advocating power to the people. So they have got some might and they are pressuring. You must accept this idea. And this is going on all over the world. Might makes right. And the rascals are fighting with one another. And the one who is a little mightier becomes prominent. That's all. Disciple. They say this is always the case with any authority. It's just some leader who's pushed himself forward. So they've rejected all authorities. Srila Prabhupada. Yes, because all their so-called authorities have been imperfect. But there is a perfect authority also. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And any authority who follows and teaches according to the instructions of Krishna is also perfect. That is authority. We Krishna conscious devotees are exactly following the authority of Krishna. In presenting Krishna consciousness, we're simply presenting the words of Krishna and trying to convince people, here is the real authority. If you follow, you'll be happy. Krishna says, you surrender unto me. And we're saying, surrender to Krishna. We know that Krishna is perfect and that to surrender unto him is perfection. And whenever we speak, we always quote Krishna and Krishna's representatives. Disciple. But in order for someone to surrender, doesn't he have to have faith in whoever is asking him to surrender? Srila Prabhupada, yes. Faith must be there. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna first of all proves that he is the absolute truth. Then he asks for you to surrender. But you need to have the intelligence to understand. This is Krishna. Then you surrender. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna does not say in the beginning, you must surrender. First, he explains everything. the body, the soul, all forms of yoga, all different kinds of knowledge. Then he gives the most confidential knowledge. Give up everything else and just surrender unto me. Everyone in this material world is imperfect. Without voluntary submission to a perfect person, everyone is imperfect. But one who has completely surrendered to Krishna or his representative, he is perfect. But if you do not surrender to the perfect authority, then you remain an imperfect rascal. You may be Napoleon or you may be a small ant, but we want to see whether you have surrendered to Krishna or not. If not, then you're a rascal. That's all.
Strong words.
Yes. This is missing, I think, in our society. The clear-cut truth. This is actually truth. Truth is not that I say something and because you don't like it, I implement whatever you don't like and I adjust my truth so I please you. That is not truth. Truth is coming from Krishna, and we must adjust to the truth instead of adjusting truth to our imperfect ideas.
Right. Truthfulness means that the facts must be presented as they are. Otherwise, it's not actually for anyone's benefit. It's just simply misleading. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, Purja Prabhu, any closing comments?
Please support us. Please share this podcast with everyone. Check our website for interesting articles. Check out our Facebook page. Invite your friends. Spread the bliss, expand the bliss, spread Krishna consciousness. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai, thank you Peter Krishna for your nice question and for listening to the podcast, everybody. Put a like on the video and subscribe. Hare Krishna.
Preview.